What's up, Shady Sports Network? I'm back here with a very special guest. He was the Patriots mascot for 12 years, Mr. Adam Visberas. Adam, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Like I'm talking to you earlier, thanks for having me. This is all new to me and looking forward to it and sharing whatever stories I can, participate in. This is great.
Definitely. So kind of like we were talking about off camera, looking towards the 2023 season, I look at the Patriots schedule and I think this is the top 5 hardest schedule in the league. What are your thoughts on the schedule?
I totally agree with you with that part. You look at that schedule and it's a gauntlet, but we've been through a lot of these. I think now with the new coaching staff, with Bill O'Brien coming back, and I just think it's going to be more scheming, using the strength of our players, and attacking the other defenses the way we used to back in the day with Brady and all that. So I expect a lot better results this year, more competitive, and expect a lot of close games. There are a lot of good teams on that schedule. So keep the faith, root for your team. I mean, that's why we're fans. Bring it every Sunday. Go Pats.
And it's really interesting that you said that, about the fans. A big part of the fan experience is mascot interaction. So, you being the mascot for 12 years, talk about that journey as a whole.
Well, so I got the job back in 2010, and, my career finally ended 2022. But the best part is just being part of the games. Everyone says, oh, that's great to be on the field. You get to see the games, but really you got to pay attention to what's going on around you. Getting the fan, you're more interacting with the fans during defensive calls, obviously, because you want to get the crowd, revved up on third downs and big plays, and just, jump in the stands, climb, I used to climb up into the stands and, just get people going, just get the energy going. And what I feed off of them, they feed off of me. And it was always great, interacting with the cheerleaders, just, it was just, we're all cookie. We're all part of the game. You're there to watch the game. You're there to try to get the other team to go off sides, false starts and all this stuff. So, all the little pieces, fans, I don't want them to forget they're, you're there, you're part of it. So help out your home team and, disrupt the other team's offense when you can.
That's really awesome. Part of being a mascot is, taking pictures, interacting with people, like you said, and that must be so rewarding for you. How rewarding was that experience as a whole?
Well, I got really savvy with all the different phones out there. The one thing I learned is there's a lot of shortcuts to taking pictures and selfies. People would, take their phones and take a step back and, just improv stuff and interact, especially with families and kids, just being a goofball in the way, when you're outside of the games, the interactions, sharing it, including everyone in the picture. A lot of times, mom or dad is has to step out. So, a couple of years into what I was doing, I learned how to manipulate other people's phones and get into their cameras and learn to take good selfies and incorporating everyone into the picture. And that really, ascended to, a better family experience versus having somebody left out of the picture. So, it was just always fun. As you got to meet me out of costume a couple weekends ago, but it's just really fun just being part of the team and being that extension, when you can't get to see a player or whatever. I always said the cheerleaders and the mascot were always the bridge in between that. So it was a very special opportunity for me.
Definitely. So a lot of people kind of forget that, personnel, I consider a mascot a personnel part of the team. It's a full 7-day week too. So kind of take me through a Monday through a Sunday.
All right. So Monday, if you had a game on a Sunday, a home game, because we didn't travel to other teams' stadiums. The only times we actually would travel were mostly like international games, like London. As we all know, they're going to be playing in Germany. I was fortunate enough to go to Mexico City. So if you did work the game, it was a little bit of recovery. In my situation, I wasn't a full-time mascot, but it felt like a full-time job. I also work construction, so I was a little sore, a little tired after the games. My days, so a 1 o'clock game would start by getting to the stadium at 8:30 to beat the traffic, kind of get settled in. I'd kind of walk around the field, get a feel for the staff that was, going to be there, my normal security people, and help watch the field get set up, all the referees checking on. There's a lot of pregame stuff that goes on that people aren't aware of, all the pregame interviews that are being done out there. And then around 10:30, get ready. We had a lot of pregame events that we had to attend to, different so it'd be like the Cross Pavilion or the Hall of Fame. They had VIP type stuff, and cheerleaders and I would go out there. We also did a thing outside the Patriots Pro Shop in the parking lot. So we had a lot of pregame stuff that we had to do, and then we had to be out in the field. So 1 o'clock game, 12:15, we had to make our way back to the field to do special presentations. We have honorary ball kid, Pepsi in the tunnel. I mean, sometimes, like you said, Make-A-Wish sometimes would have special visitors coming down on the field. Mr. Kraft would be down there, or special, alumni players. So very hectic, very crazy, very long day. So 10:30, then we lead the team out the tunnel. And then we got the national anthem, and then there we go, 1 o'clock, right on the dot, the game starts, and pretty much until the game ends at 4 o'clock, 4:30, depends how overtime, how things are going. We also had to do a VIP presentation on the field afterwards, probably 5:30. Able to go back in my locker room, change up, take a shower, make my way to my vehicle, and off I got home. And I probably didn't get home until 7:30. So it was a pretty long day. So I would leave my house at 7:30 in the morning, because I lived about 45 minutes to an hour away, and I wouldn't get home until almost 7:30 at night. So game days were pretty long.
I mean, that's a hell of a commitment. You have to be really dedicated to what you do, and really like inspired by the people around you. So, what was your biggest motivating factor to continue to keep pushing?
The motivational factors. I mean, I will honestly say I probably hit, being part of the Patriots for as long as I was, especially with the mascot, the second part of the dynasty, working, having Tom Brady. I was fortunate enough to go to 5 Super Bowls. I mean, it's unheard of in sports that, an individual like me was be able to be part of all that. So motivation was just, it was easy. It was feeding off the crowd, and what they gave to me, I gave back to them, I hoped. And, I think you would, the best way to know all that is to have people call in or email you, or reach out to you, any experiences they had with, I was known as the tall Pat on the field. One of the taller guys that they've ever had work. So, yeah, it was more of, working with the fans and just the energy of the game. It was that was the motivation, just feeding off the crowd and the energy. I mean, how fortunate were we to have Tom and Gronk and Edelman and, all those guys for all these years, so especially with the second half.
That's awesome. That must have been an amazing opportunity.
Oh, incredible. Like I said, when I got the job, I was hoping to go to 1 Super Bowl. I went to 5. So no complaints here.
What are some of your craziest stories as a mascot?
Well, there are many, but one of my most favorite, and I think it's out there, I actually have the video, when Wes Welker came to the stadium wearing the Brady mask. My staff on the field pointed out to me where he was sitting during the game. It was behind the Patriots bench around the 50-yard line. And let's just say I made my way to a golf cart. I jumped on the back of it. Our fans in the front row realized what I was trying to do. They cleared out. I jumped over. I climbed over the railings. I went up the aisle, and I lost track of what row he was in. Those people in the row stood up for me. I worked my way down. I had taken somebody, Patriots staff member's phone, because I wanted to grab a selfie with him. And Brian Gumble, and I forget who the other commentator was. I was caught on live television taking a selfie with him. That's one of my crazier moments. Got a little bit of trouble on Monday, but it was all worth it. I guess they had to move Wes into a suite or something after the game. Apparently, I caused a little bit of extra attention to him there, but I figured people would have found out who he was and what he was doing there. But those are those mascot moments where no misintent or malicious intent there. Just trying to create a moment, for our fans, who are in the stadium and those out there watching it. So I was very fortunate. Got a recording of it. It's on my phone. It's one of my. I look at it, and my kids at home were able to see me out there, and they're just like, "That's my dad. He's crazy." So that's one of my fondest memories during regular season.
100%. And that's really cool that you had that interaction with the fans and the players. So before your mascot days, you were a NFL replay tech, which
Yes.
a man, that seems so cool. Tell me a little bit about that opportunity.
So in life, I like to use this motto: hard work pays off, and you get recognized for it. So I had a few friends. It's all about networking, and so the video guys who make the game tapes and practice tapes were from New Bedford, and I lived in New Bedford at the time. And one of the guys is my age, a friend of mine who knew him. I'm not going to use any names just for confidentiality. But they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, you're a huge Patriot fan." This was 2000 when Bill Belichick first came to the Patriots. They went 5-11, and what I was a game day employee for the NFL's, but paid by the Patriots because it was a game day. All the stadiums had to do it. So we went 5-11, and this is back in the old stadium. So they asked me to come back the following year. Well, we all know what happened in 2001. And I have one of my first and greatest moments doing a job as the replay guy, as I used to call myself, was during the Brady Tuck rule in the playoffs. I was fortunate enough that Walt Coleman, the referee at the time, came to my sideline because we used to have two replay cameras set up at the time. And I was if you ever watched the Brady Tuck rule, I'm actually standing there in my blue NFL gear, handing Walt Coleman the headset so he could go look into the video and talk to the people up in the replay booth about that infamous call, which I was standing, shoulder to shoulder with him. So that was my first introduction and how I got my foot in the door with the Patriots.
Man, as a Patriots fan, I have to say that was a fumble.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, technically at the time, that same rule went against them. I believe it was, I don't know, was it Baltimore or the Jets with Vinny Testaverde? So the call went against them early in the year. So it's not like it was never called before. And, I think Brady, even in the documentary of that call, he kind of shrugs his shoulders. But, hey, the time the rules were the rules, you take advantage of them when opportunity get knocks. And if you all remember, the Raiders were still winning that game. They had their chances. But as Brady does, you don't give him an extra chance because he'll go out there and he'll take advantage of it, doesn't he?
For sure.
Yep.
So kind of transitioning back to your mascot days, how was your relationship with the other mascots in other sports?
So obviously, working with the guys from Boston, we got Blades for the Bruins. Of course, everyone knows Wally for the Red Sox, and then we have Lucky. In his situation, he is the mascot. He doesn't wear any extra gear except his costume. And working with all those guys, it was like a fraternity. So whenever we did local charitable events and all that, we all, we wouldn't see each other for months, but when we all got together, I mean, I just to see all the New England and Boston fans come out and just say to see all four major sports represented at any event that we were at. I mean, that's the time to go grab a picture. Have all four teams there represented, and people's kids and their faces just light up, and like it's all the mascots of all their favorite teams in Boston. So, and then I've been to a couple Pro Bowls. So I got to know a few and made some good friendships with a couple guys because you don't always get to see them. I know this one will hurt, but the Eagles mascot in Philadelphia, great guy. I've done a couple commercials with him with ESPN. Did a couple events. He and I rode a roller coaster at Lake Compounce early in my career. Could have got fired maybe back then, but it was one of those mascot moments. We just got reprimanded a little bit, but yeah, he and I kind of ran off, and that's a long story, but yeah, Swoop and I go way back. It was a bittersweet moment for us to see each other Super Bowl, but it was a awesome time working with them. All the different TV shows that we have to do, like Good Morning America, Today Show, and other numerous events. So I had to tip my cap off to him. We got the zip line over the Mississippi together. That was pretty incredible. It was a little cold in Minneapolis, but we both had a good time doing that. KC Wolf, another great guy. Like I said, there's a bunch of them out there, super talented. We all have our specialties and how we perform and what we can do. But just to mention a few of those guys, there's a couple more out there, but those are the two guys come off the top of my head. So pretty good guys there.
So being able to go to a Super Bowl, I mean, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. You got to do it 5 times, which is unbelievable. I guess, what is a Super Bowl? What goes into all of that?
You guys have no idea. It is the craziest. So it's actually a crazy 2 weeks because you have, you have the week after the championship, and that's when you're officially going. So then it depends, different times. I was able to go in 2016. I was part of I call it a crusade. It was the Drive for Five. You guys will have to Google that. There's a bunch of different clips. We left Gillette Stadium the week before the Super Bowl against Atlanta, as we all know, the greatest comeback ever. And we traveled all the way down the East Coast, all the way through Atlanta to New Orleans, and eventually all the way to Houston. And we did a lot of video clips. I worked with a couple of guys from 98.5, the Sports Hub, Hardy and Jim Murray, plus a bunch of people in our marketing and video department. And like I said, do yourselves a favor if you can Google and find some of the clips from there. Hysterical times. I could go in hours into all the different things we ran into on that. But usually they said that the NFL has a contingency of a few cheerleaders and the mascot. We head out several days. Let's say so. Thursday, the players, families, and friends come in. We head out like Monday or Tuesday. We would do some stuff, PR stuff with the other team cheerleaders and mascot leading up to it, and then rejoining all our staff, the Thursday before the Super Bowl. And then it's just, excuse the terminology, balls to the wall, where we're waking up at 2, 3 in the morning to make certain TV sets to do, like I said, Good Morning America. I don't know, CNN, you name it. We do all sorts of things. Our day starts early. We probably don't get in until like 10 o'clock at night. I got to clean my uniform. We pick up meals. We're visiting hospitals. We're visiting military. We're doing, of course, all sorts of promotional stuff. We're different, it could be whatever, Budweiser, whoever's out there, plus our own rallies. I mean, it's an exhausting but exciting time because we're going to be the only show coming up on Sunday, and we're just building it all up. And yeah, it's and the fans are they're great. I can't say enough of how our fans have represented us. The 5 I've been to, and I can only imagine what they did before all that. So like I said, very fortunate.
Definitely. I mean, that sounds so fun.
Yep.
I hope to go to a Super Bowl one day and really experience it for myself. So, being in the mascot costume, one of the things that mascots have to deal with is weather from a different perspective. What does the costume feel like when it's cold and when it's hot?
All right. Well, let's use this summer as so. Training camp was always the worst. Um, heat is one thing, but when you get the humidity up, and we are always, as you know, very warm to begin with inside the costume. There's no relief in this kind of weather where it's 80, 90 degrees and the dew points are high they are. The only way you get relief is when you're done working and you can just, I mean, I always tell people I felt like Shrek after doing training camp for 2 or 3 hours. You're just soaked in sweat. You just want to go home and take a shower and just rinse and all that. So, but other than that, this time of year, you talk about the fall when you have the lower dew points and you have a slight breeze. It's actually not bad. It's tolerable. Yes, you're always warm. And then when you have the other extreme conditions, I'll use the Baltimore playoff game. That was a very cold playoff game that we played, and I always stayed warm. I could wear certain Under Armour makes wonderful gear that I could wear underneath my uniform. Basically, I'm a glorified football player. I got football pads, gloves, and all that. And as long as I was moving during those games, and obviously with a playoff game that like that, where you come back two different times, being down 14 points, you're able to cheer and get the crowd going. Um, you want to keep yourself warm, but you don't want to overdo it where you sweat because then you get that cold layer. So there's some little things I learned over the years, and basically, like I said, if you were cold, then just keep moving because it's really you're your own generator. You create your own heat no matter what. So in the winter, you weren't too cold, but summertime, this is the time that I would lose 4, 5, 6 pounds sometimes in a couple hours. So depending how hot it was.
Definitely. Do you guys have to go through any physical training before you get the job?
No, I think what the one thing I could recommend, and I probably this goes well for people that are starting or do sports in this type of weather. Hydration is the most important thing. You start the night before, you can't catch up afterwards. So constantly drinking water, making sure I was hydrated. Um, I mean, I'm 55 now. I got the job when I was like in my 40s, and I've always been pretty athletic, and nimble and flexible. It's just you don't want to carry too much extra weight. I didn't have to work out too much between my job as working in construction and also being the mascot. I was able to keep myself always in great shape, which I'm fortunate to still do it. So, um, but yeah, it was just keep it simple. Hydration, number one priority, and try to stay hydrated as much as you could. When you were in costume, whenever you can take a break, you pop, behind a building or a tent, or in case at the stadium, my locker room was right at the bottom of the stairs, right behind the bench, so I could always go down and grab a few sips of Powerade or Gatorade or whatever I needed, and even water, and just rotate it, and just like I said, staying hydrated. Getting hydrated the night before and keeping up with it during the games was very important.
So, coming to my last couple of questions here for you. Um, you look at sports industry as a whole, and you were involved in it for so long. What is your biggest piece of advice to younger people who are coming up in the sports industry?
Just keep working hard. You get recognized for doing all the right things, putting in the time, making the sacrifices. I think I wanted to be the best mascot for the Patriots that they ever had. So I believe in it's just really grinding, using my abilities that I was, improv and just being fun, interacting with the fans in different ways and just trying to learn new subtle things. You don't have to go crazy, but be consistent and just hard work. I can't say it enough. I use it with my kids today, and they're starting to get it. You may not get the recognition right away, but between hard work and consistency, it'll get you noticed and things will take off from there. I didn't just become the mascot just because I knew people. Well, eventually I knew people. They knew who I was as a replay guy. And when the job became available, they reached out to me and they wanted me to come in and become the mascot, because from 2007 to 2010, I wasn't working with the Patriots, but I obviously left an impression back on the field with a bunch of people, and was able to observe some of the other guys that done it in the past. So therefore I was able to create my version of Pat, through what I saw through other guys, plus with my own abilities and all that. And that's how things lead up some to where I was. So, hard work.
Well, it's been awesome having you on the show. I really enjoyed talking to you today. I'm really excited to see the future of mascotting in the NFL and in the future of young people like myself coming up in the industry with what you said with hard work, how crucial that is to long-term success. Hearing it from someone like you who's been in it for 12 plus years. Can we expect you to pull a Tom Brady and come back, or are you officially done?
Yeah. Hey, listen, just like you're doing, all your hard work, it's going to eventually all pay off. And like I said, be consistent, be strong, be true, and good things will come your way.
For sure. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
I'm a game changer.